This is VOA Africa.
Good evening, I'm Esther Githu-Ewart. It's Tuesday, June 25th. This is Africa 54.
Ethiopia holds a memorial for its army chief of staff killed in an alleged coup attempt. In the United States Capitol, recognizing efforts by the Zimbabwe Community Development Association to help victims of human trafficking. And what will it take for streaming services to take off in the home of Nollywood?
Tonight, we begin in East Africa, where Ethiopia paid tribute on Tuesday to its military chief of staff, who was one of 5 people killed in a failed coup attempt in Amhara State. Serena Chondre reports.
Hundreds of soldiers and officers in uniform gathered to pay their final respects to the Ethiopian Army's chief of staff. General Seada Mekonnen was shot dead on Saturday along with 4 other senior officials, as part of what authorities say was a foiled plot to seize control of the northern Amhara region. The man accused of being the mastermind behind it, General Assem Nusige, was shot dead on Monday. Roads in the capital, Addis Ababa, were blocked for the ceremony, which also paid tribute to another retired general killed in the gun attacks. The killings are the biggest challenge yet to the sweeping political and economic reforms Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has implemented since taking power last April, and underscore the tenuous grip of the federal government in a region that has become a flashpoint for ethnic violence. Militias formed by ethnic groups are multiplying across Ethiopia, driven by local leaders seeking to take advantage of new freedoms under Abiy to build power bases. But authorities, diplomats and aid workers in the capital say these ethnic militias are committing vigilante violence, killing local government officials, burning homes and raping women. The United Nations says such attacks have driven some 2.4 million Ethiopians from their homes.
That was Serena Chondre of Reuters reporting. Human trafficking is a major global problem. In 2017, VOA's Zimbabwe service helped uncover the trafficking of more than 100 Zimbabwean women to Kuwait. That reporting sparked a parliamentary inquiry and their safe return to Zimbabwe. Team leader Camillus Machingura was recognized here in Washington as part of efforts to end human trafficking.
The best way to prevent human trafficking is to increase awareness of the city about the issue, the offense. Citizens need to be aware at all forms of types of human trafficking. And they also need to be conscientized on how to be very discreet when they see adverts on about jobs, when they see adverts about scholarships, even when they see suspicious activities or people who seem to be in captivity or who seem not to be enjoying their freedoms in terms of where they are and things like that. But the greatest prevention is awareness, so that citizens become aware of that kind of offense.
Machingura says the award recognizes how much those Zimbabwean women suffered in Kuwait.
The first they need psychological help. That's the first of all. What they go through, the trauma they go through, might make them sort of lose the will to live and create low self-esteem in them. Any times they can even develop some negative coping mechanism like suicide. And so they need to be helped psychologically. Thereafter, they need to be empowered by means of livelihoods economically, so that they engage in some meaningful activity that will improve their lives and their families, so that they resist temptations to migrate and let alone migrate without full information.
Machingura says cultural changes might also help reduce human trafficking.
And some of the trafficking tendencies may be embedded in cultural practices or religious practices. So to some citizens, they might not see certain activities as trafficking or as an offense because they are long-held beliefs or way of doing things that the society seem to condone. So by trying to tell them now that it's wrong, it's an offense, you are depriving somebody of their freedom, it might prove to be a challenge. So from the cultural and religious perspective, it might prove to be very difficult. But as well from resources and funding to roll out programs that would conscientize all the citizens is also another challenge.
That was Camillus Machingura from the Zimbabwe Community Development Association speaking with VOA's Dile Diko at the U.S. State Department. UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet is calling on Sudanese authorities to allow in human rights monitors and repression of protesters and restore the internet service. Bachelet says her office has received reports that more than 100 protesters were killed and many more injured when security forces raided a peaceful sit-in outside the Defense Ministry in Khartoum on June 3rd. In a speech to the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva Monday, Bachelet said her office has received allegations of rape and sexual abuse of both women and men during the crackdown, as well as information alleging that hundreds of protesters may be missing.
The inspiring and peaceful popular uprising in Sudan, with its call for democratic governance and justice, has been met with a brutal crackdown by the security forces this month. I regret that the government has not responded to our request for access to investigate allegations of serious human rights violation by the joint security forces during the crackdown. They include reports that more than 100 protesters were killed and many more injured during and following the assault by security forces on a peaceful sitting on the 3rd of June.
Bashir, who is in detention, has been charged with incitement and involvement in the killings of protesters. Now, Africans in the United States are looking forward to savoring East African cuisine in cities near them, as the only Swahili fine dining restaurant in the Washington, D.C. area plans to expand its mouth-watering dishes in 7 more locations across the United States. VOA's Orian Itangishaka reports.
Swahili Village Bar and Grill, fine Kenyan cuisine that captures the essence of 3 distant lands, India, Arabia, and Persia. A bold, well-balanced blend of herbs and seasoning that gives this indigenous East African food a unique taste. We're here to see the buzz made by many Africans in the region about its food and its atmosphere. So let's take a look. Kevin, how are you doing? Great. Good to meet you.
It's my pleasure.
So, what about the village?
Well, the village is where it all happens. The village is where the community comes together to commune together. Mm-hmm. Yes. We thought that Swahili Village was a really appropriate name for a language that unites that whole part of the region. Mm-hmm. It's a melting pot of Africans and really enjoying the ambiance of the space. Our approach to the cuisine was that we make it fresh when you order it.
Nothing frozen? Nothing frozen.
So when you come in here, you order your fish, for instance. The fish was already marinated, waiting for you to come in, and then we start the process of making it right there.
Wow.
So it comes from the fire to your table, and it was fresh 2 minutes ago. You know, our blend of seasoning is also very unique. You know, we combine the Indians, African, Persian, Portuguese, and the British. All that has really formed a solid blend of seasoning that is unrivaled.
Wow. And it tastes the coconut.
Generally, tilapia is from inland. It's freshwater lake fish. But the people of Mombasa enjoy tilapia also, so they make it their own way. So for instance, this is samaki wa nazi. It simply means coconut milk, yes. But there's a twist of a little bit of Indian in there too, because it's coconut masala. They pair it with pilau, which is also Swahili. And then chicha, also Swahili. So this is a very traditional Swahili dish. However, you can find it in very rare hotels inland. But for the most part, if you're in Mombasa, this is very normal to me.
As I had my mouth full, Kevin told me that 95% of his customer base are Africans.
what it does, it takes me way back home when I come here, because I hear music I haven't heard. I get to taste the food I haven't eaten like for months or even years.
And to give more Africans in the diaspora a taste of home, Kevin plans to open 7 more locations in the United States in the next 5 years. Oriani Tangishaka for VOA News in Washington.
Now, the ongoing 2019 Africa Cup of Nations in Cairo, Egypt, where we go there now, where Africa 54 sports reporter Sandy Shomari is standing by. Good evening, Sandy.
Good evening, Esther Githui-Ewart. How are you doing in D.C.?
You know, I'm doing well here. So, Sandy, as we speak, Cameroon and Guinea are sweating it out. What more is happening tonight in Group F?
Group F tonight, Esther, Benin will also face Ghana, the Black Stars. They will try to shine tonight by facing Benin. But anyway, Esther, Cameroon is facing this team tonight, the Guinea-Bissau, because Cameroon are the defending champions. The game is about to start about half an hour from now. There will be a lot of sweat, Esther, tonight, because Cameroon, as defending champions, they have to prove they have the mantra and the strength to win this cup. But not only the cup, but the main game tonight sets the whole trend-setting game today.
So what are you? So what are you hearing from the coaches and sports analysts about tonight's match?
Esther, Cameroon's coach Clarence Seedorf was asked about his team situation, especially the mantra and the health of the brain, because these guys had not been coming to the camp on time. And this is because they decided not to come early because they didn't want to come out because of money problems. But after getting paid, they decided they will come. So the team arrived very late and no more time for training. So they were asked if they're going to make it. But Clarence Seedorf, the coach, said that is not a problem. His team is ready, has the strength, and has the energy to make this championship again back to back, if you like. Get in, get paid, and get out. That's what Cameroon is trying to do.
So Sandy, any lessons learned from yesterday's match between South Africa and Ivory Coast that the players tonight can kind of, learn something?
Yes, something to learn is for Benin and also for Guinea-Bissau, because these two teams are the underdogs. So you're playing big champions. And as you saw last night, their favorites won. Ivory Coast won against South Africa, and of course, Mali smashed Mauritania 4-1. So the underdogs have to learn that we have to make it happen, otherwise we might lose. So we want to see, it's going to be a good tussle tonight, because everybody is not trying to go home early, Esther. Is trying to go to the second round, if you like. They don't want to go out of Egypt anytime soon. So it's going to be a great game tonight.
We had to predict, but are the coaches and analysts predicting who is going to win tonight?
Well, as it happened last night, most of these analysts and coaches are saying it's obvious. Cameroon are the favorites. They might win their game. On the same note, Ghana is trying to reclaim the lost glory since 1982. I don't know, Esther, where you were at the time when they were champions. So Ghana, as Black Stars are known with the heavy talent, people think Ghana will also make it and win this game tonight. But we're here to watch what's going to happen, Esther.
Sunday, I was wearing slippers, as we call them in Africa, flip-flops, and going to middle school.
That's that time.
So I've come a long way. So maybe
you must tell
I must do what?
You must compare and talk to Peter Clotty, our colleague. You know, he's from Ghana, so that's the time when the championship came to Ghana. And this time around, Ghanaians are trying to get it back.
And Kwame Ofori as well. Sandy, I'll find out what you are wearing in 1982, if you were born then. All right, Sandy, we'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Esther. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Africa 54 sports reporter Sandy Shomari reporting live via Skype from Cairo, Egypt. Now, we're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also, check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, Netflix will tell you what about soon.
The lyrics could be French,
English,
Portuguese,
Bantu,
Arabic.
It is the beat.
The African beat that counts.
The beat does all the translations.
It cuts across all languages and gives us the understanding that this is the African beat.
It is so distinct
and adhesive.
It binds us together.
African Beat on the Voice of America. For more information, visit our website at www.voanews.com/AfricanBeat.
I am Shaka Sali, host and senior editor of VOA's international call-in talk show, Straight Talk Africa.
Today we'll examine the tobacco industry.
We pretty much touch on anything that you can think of. Politics, health issues, human rights issues, you name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent. A very, very rare and unique opportunity to interact with their leaders.
I'm Clara Frank, and here's what's trending. Mary J. Blige, Lizzo, and Ella May's outfits were on fire at the BET Awards in Los Angeles. The booed-up R&B singer kept her outfit bright and simple in neon green. Meanwhile, classic man Jidenna's look was a tip of the hat to his African roots. He chose to wear Ghanaian designer Aramanda.
Think about.
Next up, adding glamour and old-school physics to an old-school record player. When switched on, the turntable platter hovers in the air above the bass with nothing seemingly holding it up. Maglev Audio created this unique levitating turntable, with money collected via crowdfunding website Kickstarter. The quiet rotation created by the magnetic force and use of electric currents prevents any sound that could be created if it were operated by a motor, thus producing a crisp and clean sound. Maglev Audio CEO says the company is marketing the record player as a stylish piece of furniture aimed at a niche market. Acquiring a levitating turntable doesn't come cheap. Prices start at $2,800 for a basic model. And finally, the Raspberry Pi 4 is here, but not at a bakery. Some call it the world's most affordable multimedia PC. The credit card-sized machine, costing $35, can now operate as a complete desktop computer, with the makers hoping to compete in the global PC market. It's able to drive 2 independent 4K screens simultaneously, and has 3 times the processing power and 4 times the multimedia performance of its predecessor. It allows users to surf the internet, stream films, edit images, or create apps in ultra-high definition for a fraction of the cost of a traditional desktop PC. About half the sales of the PC are to industrial clients. And that's what's trending today.
After pulling back from a strike on Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump signed a new round of sanctions targeting the country's leadership. U.S. officials say the administration will negotiate with Iran with no preconditions to end the escalating tension. Meanwhile, Tehran is hinting at its willingness to negotiate if the U.S. will lift sanctions. VOA White House correspondent Patsy Widakuswara has the latest.
The Iranian economy has endured repeated rounds of sanctions since last year, when U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew from the 2015 nuclear agreement, and they are about to be hit by more.
Sanctions imposed through the executive order that I'm about to sign will deny the Supreme Leader and the Supreme Leader's office and those closely affiliated with him and the office access to key financial resources and support.
Trump ordered the fresh rounds of sanctions on Monday following weekend reports that the U.S. launched cyber attacks on computers used by Iranian intelligence. Tehran called the attacks a violation of international law and dismissed the latest round of sanctions.
Is there any sanction left for America to impose that has not been imposed on us recently or in the last 40 years? And is there anything they've gained from this?
The administration targeted sanctions on Iran's highest authority, Ayatollah Khamenei, blaming him for the regime's hostile conduct. But some observers question the effectiveness of the sanctions, considering it's unlikely that Khamenei would use financial instruments under American jurisdiction.
For people who say these are just symbolic, that's not the case at all. We've literally locked up tens and tens of billions of dollars. These sanctions will come along with additional entities where people are hiding money. So no, these sanctions are highly effective.
Trump, who campaigned on stopping what he calls never-ending wars, last week canceled a strike on Iran over the downing of an American drone.
We would love to be able to negotiate a deal if they want to. If they don't want to, that's fine too.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is meeting allies in the region, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, to build a coalition against Tehran. He said the U.S. will negotiate with Iran with no preconditions to end the escalating tension. Iranian officials have hinted willingness to negotiate if the U.S. would lift sanctions. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News at the White House.
U.S. health officials have recruited Basketball Hall of Fame Dikembe Mutombo to help fight an Ebola outbreak in his native Democratic Republic of Congo. One of the deadliest outbreaks in history has already killed about 1,500 people and infected another 2,200 since August. Mutombo appears in a video posted on the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website, where he appeals for help in stopping the largest ever outbreak of Ebola in the northern part of the country. He told the Associated Press his message will be received better because villagers are not trusting of someone who doesn't look like them, saying to inject a chemical into your body to protect you from this deadly virus. Officials are trying to get radio and television stations in the Congo to air the Mutombo advisory message in Kiswahili, Lingala, and French, urging the residents in the outbreak areas to take precautions and get care. Now, for 28 years, Dorothy Ajakije suffered shame and persecution in Gabon for not knowing whether she was male or female after being born with genitals from both sexes. Dr. Michael Obeng helped her dreams of being female be realized. Lauren Anthony has the details.
Dorothée Ajakije was born with a condition that left her with two genders. But that changed when US-based plastic surgeon Dr. Michael Obeng came to visit her home country of Gabon, offering free services, including Dorothée's gender reassignment surgery. Born with both male and female genitalia, she was treated largely as a boy until puberty. But with age, Dorothée developed a more typically female body type, and she decided she wanted to identify as a woman.
This young lady was born with two genders, or what we call ambiguous genitalia. She has breasts, she has a penis, and she has a vestigial vagina, meaning a vagina that has not formed fully. So this morning I am about to remove the penis, use portions of the tip of the penis to make a clitoris so that she can enjoy sex. Make a new vagina for her, put a skin graft to line the vagina, and hopefully she will have a normal-looking female anatomy in the pelvic region.
Dorothée says in her culture, those born intersex experience social stigma. She has faced shame and persecution for not knowing her gender, and many associate the condition with witchcraft. She feels this new surgery will give her a new sense of identity and security.
When you live until the age of 28 without knowing if you're a he or a she, when you have to constantly justify who you are, it's not easy. So this will enable me now to be determined about myself and to know where I go now, to fully live a stage of my life, and professionally speaking, it will help me evolve.
Dr. Obeng's visit was the first intervention of its kind in Gabon. The Central African country is home to 2 million people, none of whom have access to a plastic surgeon.
Lauren Anthony of Reuters with that report. Now, all right. Couldn't wait to go to Nigeria, where a growing movie industry, Nollywood, for many decades has largely depended on local movie distribution. Over the last decade, however, producers have been shifting focus from low-budget, high-volume production to quality, earning the industry more international recognition. In 2015, America's streaming giant Netflix started streaming Nigerian-made movies. But poor internet infrastructure and high data costs means stunted growth for streaming services in Nigeria. Timothy Obiezu reports from Abuja.
Nigerian actress and filmmaker Happy Juliet has been in the industry for many years. Usually, she produces as many low-budget movies as she can in a year to make up for low payments from local distributors and losses from piracy. But now she's focusing on quality, hoping that her movie gets a shot at international screens.
We, the filmmakers, we've been suffering, and we are still suffering in the hands of these distributors. Because I don't see any reason why I should work for my money. Everything comes from me, and then you want to rip me off.
Nigeria's movie industry, Nollywood, attained global recognition for its volume of production, ranked second to India's Bollywood. But that trend is changing, and filmmakers are reducing their dependence on local distribution.
There's no how Netflix or Roku or whatever will have my movie without me giving them. That means I have collected some money from them. So any movie we see there, definitely the producer must have collected part of the money or full from them before they can afford to put it online.
But eliminating the so-called middlemen or local distributors is only a part of the solution for Nigeria's filmmakers. Nigeria's poor internet infrastructures and high data costs means, despite the involvement of international and local online streaming services with producers, viewers still struggle to access movies.
It bothered us in the beginning, but again it made us think outside of the box. So in order to tackle that challenge, we decided to go beyond data, and we decided to de-emphasize on our streaming aspect of our business and focus more on creating an app from scratch. Aside from that, we also came up with kiosks. So what the kiosk does is that it allows for our consumers to go to the kiosk and then they can download movies.
Despite showing the fastest growth rates in internet penetration, Africa remains in the bottom rank with only about 35.2% of the population using the internet. Nigeria's government in the last few years has created an enabling environment for many broadband service providers to make cheap data available. But millions of movie lovers here still depend on local distributors, a practice that promotes piracy. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Abuja.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a good evening.